I am concerned for the young people of our society because of the absolute ignorance that we have as a society of the scriptures. Now, I know that the world will probably say something about brainwashing, manipulation, whatnot, whatever. Um, but it is my conviction and absolute belief that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And that if we have any hope of having any hope, it's going to be in Jesus. And of all the people that should have hope, children and young people should have hope. That's what he says in Ecclesiastes 12. He says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth. And he goes on and he speaks in an allegorical sense, but he talks about getting into old age. He says, honor God now while you're young. And so I'm thinking about Mary. And Luke chapter number 1, the angel comes to her, tells her that she's going to bear a child, even though she was a virgin, and that that child was going to be the Savior. And she goes and she meets with her cousin Elizabeth, who is with child with John the Baptist at the time. And both pregnancies in and of themselves are supernatural to varying degrees. But anyway, after all this was done, Mary busts open with this praise. My soul doth magnify the Lord. Luke 1, 46 through 55. If you want to read it, I recommend that you do. You will find her talking about the promises of God. You will find her talking about the judgment and justice of God, about the mercies of God. You will find her speaking sound doctrine as a very young person. It was nothing in that society for, a young girl to get married at 15 or 16 years old and have kids. She was very, very young and had a firm understanding of who God is and was, and of the promises of God and of all these different things. And we have difficulty communicating to our young people why we don't have a rock concert for Jesus, why there are standards regarding worship, and God demands and deserves to be worshiped in a certain way, and he prescribes those methods. John 4 is an easy illustration of that, in spirit and in truth. There are other principles revolving around that, and this is just the illustration that I'm using. Young people come to the old people in their church and say, why can't we sing this song? And they'll say, well, just because it's contemporary, or just because we don't sing those songs. That's not an adequate answer. Young people are taking in information, and we're just not teaching them. And so that's my prayer and concern right now.